Welcome back to Community Storytelling. I'm Lissa Kreisler. I'm so glad I'm with you again, and I've been here again, season 5. Thank you so much, Linda Lester, and yeah, I'll be stopping by Leicester Square when I leave today. So I'm a little nervous about this interview because I've got like 3 besties all squeezed in on this couch. I don't think we've ever had 3 people squeezed in, and they're very thin women. I don't want you to get the wrong impression. And not only are they besties, but I know them and I like them so much. So we'll just have to see how this goes. And you know them too. What am I saying? Let me do the introductions. Sandy Decker, former mayor and everything else of Los Gatos.
Oh, thank you.
Ginger McDonald, Los Gatos Rotary, and should have been mayor of Los Gatos, and there's still time. And Mary Ellen Kaschub, who started Art Now, which is that fabulous kids art program that we'll also be hearing about in the near future. So welcome, ladies, and you're all besties, right?
Yes,
Yep.
we
So
are.
how often do you see each other? And there's a reason for this interview. It's not just a little chit chat, but how often do you see each other?
A lot.
Okay, say no more.
Yeah, probably at least once or
to
twice
twice
a
a
week.
week.
Okay, for wine or for coffee or for,
Just chat.
you mean
get
there's no
together.
wine involved?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Sandy's
Well,
a
sometimes.
teetotaler, though.
Well, I know, that's why I
But
like her
that's
so
more for
much.
us.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I don't know how to chat with girlfriends without having a glass of wine next to me. So you're doing well. And you're so close that you have named yourself.
Daughters of Dementia.
Now, you're not, and I want you to explain that because it's such a great name. I'm going to let who's going first here. I have 3 talkers as well, so
Oh.
it's going to be hard to maneuver this. But okay, Sandy, you start with the name. Where did that come from?
Well, basically, I made it up, and the reason being is that we found ourselves, although we've known each other for a very long time, we found ourselves in the same situation. Our husbands were in various stages of disrepair, and they were late in life for Mary Ellen and for Ginger. My husband is still alive, but they were going through the dementia period. Mine was, at that point, had already been diagnosed with Alzheimer's. Well, dementia is something that probably goes through all relationships, and it will eventually, because it's just one of those things that as you age you get. So we found ourselves trying to find a place that put us in the before rather than the after dementia, so we decided to call ourselves the Daughters of Dementia.
Love it.
And it was great fun because I think it gave us an opening when we talked to each other about sharing something that's not fun, but that's what we were trying to bring to it, was a little bit lighter look at something that's a very, very tough problem.
And Ginger, I know you were such the fabulous caregiver for your husband, John. And how was that? How is it being a true caregiver for the man you love?
Well, we all are, really. And I think it's love that guides you. But it's a very difficult time, and I'm hoping not to tear right now.
And it's okay.
The thing that happens when you first learn that this is starting to occur in your life and you see the changes in your husband, it's a bit of an erosion of your life.
Well, and you always see it before the medical experts see it, right?
Well,
Generally.
With John, it was different. He sensed in the year 2000 it was time to retire. He'd practiced law for 50 years. And he said, I'm losing it. I don't have what I need to continue. So gradually over those first 10 years. But in 2010, he was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. And then when you start to see it really, really happening, at first, I think you're a bit denial. It's not really happening. We all forget what's here. And then when you really start seeing the deterioration of not only your life, but your husband, the dynamic person that John was to me in our life, it's a very tough row to hoe.
And when you said Daughters of Dementia, it does sound much better than Wives of Alzheimer's.
Thank you.
It really
you.
does.
Thank you.
You came up with a great name. And Mary Ellen, were you also your husband's caregiver?
I was his caregiver and I was his care manager. And I think those two things actually are different in that you're caring for somebody who is not longer the person that you married, the person that you lived with and had fun with and shared with. That's gone, and it goes slowly, and then sometimes it drops, and then it comes to another level. Bill was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. He also had chronic lymphocytic leukemia.
Oh my.
And a lung issue. So it was on multi-levels that I had to operate, and getting the resources in 1 week, or 1 month rather, I counted it up, and it was 60 hours of going to doctors. A lot of his doctors were at Stanford, whether it was the hospital, whether it was the ER, whether it was finding caregivers. And we were lucky, blessed to have a wonderful caregiver that just loved him and he loved her. They were both coming from a heart place. And that was really fortunate. But as Bill deteriorated, going from a very big, warm personality, and he was smart, and that slowly eroded, and he became a very angry, frustrated man, and that took a whole nother dimension.
I understand that. I've heard a lot about that. The last stage often.
Yes.
Yes. And Sandy, is your husband home with you?
Yes.
Yes. So
yes.
that, okay. I mean, that is, so many people cannot, there comes the point where they have to send their loved ones to a memory care facility or, assisted living, whatever. And I don't know if it's lucky or not. I don't know which one is better. You're with it 24/7. And look at you smiling. Tell me.
That's kind of just happens, you get it with when you're dealing with somebody with dementia, you just automatically smile. No, it is not easy. And we were talking this morning, I feel blessed. We all three of us do. We had the means to get help. But I'm thinking about the people in this community that are taking care of a demented loved one who don't. And that person goes into the stage that Bill did, which is the anger. It ends up being something that's unattainable. It was very difficult for Ginger to physically lift John at the end. And what I'm going through is a whole nother setup, because Gill is incredibly dependent. I call him affectionately Mr. Velcro, because he has this thing where I cannot move without him being very, very, very close. And so we all have these different ways of handling this, but fortunately I have help 4 hours 3 times a week. And the woman that comes to help him, not unlike the one that helped Bill, he just loves her. She they're at a wonderful stage where she can talk at his level, and it's just great. She can listen very patiently to the same thing almost 16 and a half times in a period of 15 minutes. And so that I'm so thankful for. But I do need to get away from that, or there's probably going to be big trouble in town. So yes, he is home with me. There are some things I think that I have said to myself, his children and my children have said to me. When I do have to be physically responsible for him, I can't be, because I'm going to go down.
Right.
And once I do that, we're both being taken care of, and that's no help to him at all. So
I love, and I don't want anybody to get the wrong impression. We're sitting here laughing and chuckling, but I think you need that. I mean, did you ever just walk into a room in your house, and either John or Bill or Gill is in another room, and you just think, "Oh my God!"
Oh, it's worse than that. The words are much worse than that. Yes.
Yeah. But you do it, and then you walk back out there.
Laughter is really the biggest medicine that anyone could ever
Well,
take.
you know me.
Yeah.
That's my mantra.
I know you.
I laugh
in
at the
that
worst
respect.
times,
Yeah.
but it's survival sometimes.
Because they don't understand.
Right.
We all three of us have have pretty good personalities, and our husbands
Really?
were vibrant. They were incredibly vibrant people, but they kind of worked on their own level because they were various lawyers, and Bill was a lawyer, and Gill was 1,000 other things. So that, you know, they kind of set in their spotlight. So, you know, we kind of built our lives too, and what we were proud of. But with it came some interaction that was fun with these guys, but it's not there anymore. So when you lose that, and you can say fun things because you think you're really cute and funny, and they don't get it. You know, they don't understand what you're talking about, and for them, you can see the fear in their eyes, and it's scary. So we feed all of that to each other, and it works well.
Are you taking members?
You don't want to
and
be in
we've
that
had
club.
people ask
No, you
Yeah.
don't want to be in that club.
You know,
You don't want to be in that club, but if you're in that club, can anybody join you?
well,
You should find a club, though. I think if you're in this
And how do you
situation,
find
a
a
good
club?
friend.
How do you do that?
I
I
paid
think
them.
Mary Ellen brought us together. She said, let's have lunch, knowing we knew each other for a long time, but in different facets of Los Gatos, different things we did. And then Mary Ellen said, let's have lunch. What I'd like to come back to, if I may, is when you actually have care and when you actually put them in a home. Two extremely emotional, difficult decisions. If, and in most cases, your husband has always been a person of control, they know where they're going, they know what they want to do.
And many wives today are just like that.
Yes, of
You know,
course.
many, yes.
Of course, and,
yes.
and you don't know what to do and you're helpless. But in John's case, I mean, the first 5 years, he talked all the time about ending his life. He said, I'm not going to put you through this. He was very clear about that. He came down with aphasia. He could no longer construct a sentence. He couldn't read. He couldn't write. A brilliant a trial lawyer, knowing what's going on. But he decided he was going to kill himself, and he tried.
Oh, no.
Yeah, he tried. And when he failed, then he just kind of gave into it. And so we had another 5 years. And I couldn't bring him home from the hospital, from the care center, until I could prove he would no longer be alone at any time. So big decisions.
So you did not go out of the house for 5 years?
No, that's when I was forced to bring in care.
Yes.
Like, you know, Sandy finally got care.
And you so
Mary
need
Ellen.
it. There's only so much you can put on your shoulders. And as strong as you are, 24/7, we're not strong 24/7. And you need release and relief.
And you know, it comes in 4 hours. Like, I remember
Yes.
the schedule. You can leave at noon, you better be
Yes.
back by 5. And you're when you're out away, you're constantly carrying, what is he doing? Is he okay? Do I need to do something? You never let go of that. It's very heavy load.
So, you know, we started talking lessons learned, lessons shared. So you're starting to talk of what are some good lessons for people who are just now realizing or learning that they have a family member, a spouse, and or a parent?
The one lesson, well, there's many lessons. I think the one that surprised me was where I thought we were legally covered and we had all our documents in place and everything was set. I really was blindsided by adversarial daughters, and it went into litigation, etc.
Daughters of both?
My husband's. He
Okay.
had 3 daughters.
Okay.
And what I would say is, at the very beginnings, if there's any inkling that somebody has dementia, it's get everything in locked down, communicate to everybody involved, sit them down, say exactly where you want it to be held, because otherwise you never know how people are going to react in a crisis.
You have shared something so personal. Thank you. That's tough. Okay, number 2.
Number 2 is trying to understand how you're going to be able to bring care in, as I was talking before. Very, very difficult, because you bring a stranger into the home, and all of a sudden that stranger just meshes into your life.
That's right.
And
New family member.
You know, John, like Gill, like Bill, why are they here? Where are you going? What's going on? I don't like them. Don't bring them back again. And we did rotate a couple of them out the door. You know, the one patronizes the patient. Oh, you're so cute, John. What can I do for you today? The worst thing you can do to a man that was very successful. And then the worst of all, and I do mean that, is when you have to put him in a home. And with me, I made up my mind in June of 2019 that I just couldn't do it anymore. We were in and out. I had a U-turn to Good Sam. Hi guys, it's us again. We were getting the blankets as part of our, you know, I mean, it was amazing. And every time we were there, it was another crisis to deal with. So when I had to put him in a home, I didn't know how I was going to do that. Set the date for September, talked to the family. His son was amazing. He came over the weekend of course, you go through a lot of changes and understanding what's out there, what the costs are, how are they going to take care of him? Will he be okay there? There's so many questions, like Mary Ellen just said, on the financial, but it's also the care. So you have to put on a real smart hat, and that's not easy when you're going through a lot of emotion.
So when my husband passed away 15 years ago, I can't even believe it was that long, one of the first things I did for my daughters was get long-term insurance care. And I just because who knows, you know, what's going to happen with me? He died very young, you know, their luck, I'll live forever. Which I hope not, because I want the other insurance policy to pay him. But I got a policy, and I was 50 at the time, so it was still affordable. I mean, you don't want to wait forever about long-term care, because the older you are, the more they charge you. And just so that it's not going to pay for everything, but it will certainly help. I have a close friend who did have to put his wife into long-term care, and she was there for several years, and her care was $10,000 a month.
Oh yeah.
That's cheap.
But he had good. Mine will not. I'm sorry, girls. Mine will not cover that much. But long-term care, $10,000 a month.
And may I speak to that?
Please.
Yes, go ahead.
I was so proud of me. I grabbed Gill very young, and I said, you know, this long-term insurance, we'll never need it because we're going to live forever. And I said, I really want you to do it now. I said, I think it'll make a big difference. It was a spectacular policy at the time. It paid off in 10 years, and it pays X number of dollars per day. Gill has now been in help for about a year and a half, and they've yet to pay off. They are impossible. This is the largest of the companies. It's called Alliance, and I just want you to know, if you have it, be ready, be really ready to deal with the fact they will think of anything.
You are correct.
So that they don't have to
You
pay.
are correct.
So, and I know that sounds Machiavellian, and you can say to yourself, well, I can handle this. Well, you think you've handled it. You've got 16,000 pages of justification for this person, which has been sent to them from doctors and myriad testing places. And then they'll ask you for something like, can you prove that he has care? They're dealing with the care people.
You just got their invoice.
Going to pay. So I mean,
you're right.
It's
you're right.
tough, and they're not. I'm sure some of them are very good, but just be ready. Here you are, just doing everything you possibly can. You're looking at the end of maybe monies you've saved, so the two of you could go off and do something wonderful in Morocco, and here it's going into care.
Yes.
Yeah.
So sometimes, my poor dad died before I could get long-term care to pay for anything. But here I am telling you to look into it still, okay? Because it did work for my friend, and hopefully will work for you if you go that route.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've had 2 lessons learned and shared. Lesson 3.
Lesson 3 is, and this is a tough one because this is not anything the three of us would have ever said. But you know what? If if it happens, it happens. Expectations, dreams, things that you had planned for this time in your life, they're not there. I mean, you can't walk out the door. You're imprisoned in this world. And that sounds so dramatic, but you truly are, because that person now is no one you knew. It's a person who needs care, and it needs emotional care and so forth. So yes, you carry with him wherever you go, and normally you don't get away very long. So what I'm saying is that you are victimized, but if there is some way that you can mold it in another direction. For instance, the three of us took off last week and went to La Costa. Thank you again to Linda Lester.
Yes.
She has that gorgeous villa.
And it was, but we did that.
Yeah,
and
how did you do that?
well, his son came from New Jersey and his daughter came from Las Vegas and stayed with him while we were gone. So, it takes time to think this through. This was a long time coming. So, but focus on something that's different from this world that gets you into this spiral of victimization. And I mean, it's easy to say it now, but it's really important. You're going to have to change your mindset.
Which, can happen to any of us, and not just from dementia, but something, I have some girlfriends now, sadly we're getting at that age, and our dreams and hopes are so different than they were 10 years ago, even 5 years ago, even 3 months ago. Things happen, and sadly it's life.
It is.
It's sad. So, okay, I knew I should have brought Kleenex with me because you all have me ready just to bawl. Can we give us some light moments? Are there any light moments?
Yes, there are.
I want to share one,
Good.
if I can.
Please.
As I mentioned earlier, John had aphasia, but he still was able to kind of think in a very different way, and he had some words he could use to explain what he's trying to say. And he's trying to ask me if the mailman has come. Has the mailman come? That's a very simple sentence. Anybody can say that. And the answer is no. And I'm trying to figure out what he's trying to say. And he says, the man that dog bites.
There was still something there.
And yeah, he made me laugh. He made me cry. Sometimes we cried together, but he made me laugh at times. And where does that come from? Where with that brilliant brain that comes up with something like that?
Memories. I mean, they're sad, but they're good, right? I mean, can you have a memory like that that's sad and it's good?
With Bill, he was a big, cuddly kind of guy. And so it was well into dementia, Alzheimer's, being at the daycare center in San Jose, which I would like to say the Alzheimer's Association is extremely helpful, and their support groups are tremendous. So if anybody is in that situation, please use them. So he was in that state, and he was home, and he loved music. So we had something on the radio or whatever it was, and all of a sudden he gets up, puts his arms out, and we dance in the little area between our living room and our dining room. And it was so...
You just wanted to freeze that moment.
Yeah, it was
bet.
so special.
So what a great memory to have.
Yeah, it is.
And you're still making memories.
Oh yeah, let me share this one with you. Today in our neighborhood, the trash gets picked up. And there's a trash can that sits near the back door of our house, and it's blue. And that's Gill's job, is to bring the trash cans in. And
Still?
Well, his helper person helps him, or I help him, because anyway, it's his job.
Okay.
So anyway, we were coming up the stairs coming up the driveway with the can that sits next to the door. We get just about to the door where it goes, and he's taking it into the back door. And there was nothing I could do, Lisa, to convince him that it didn't go in the back door into the house. It does not go into the house. So I want you to picture this. This is the caregiver, me, and Gill trying to get him to turn around to leave the trash can outside. And he's got this big smile on his face because, and he says, it's my job, my job. So I have no idea by the time I get home where the trash can
Could be in your bedroom.
It could be.
Now, do you still sleep in the same bedroom?
Oh yeah. Oh
And
no.
did you?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
And you, Mary
No.
Ellen? No.
I had to separate and go upstairs.
So I was going to share a story with one of my very dear friends, and I guess it was about 6 months ago her husband passed away, and he was early on stage dementia, and he got so confused he thought their housekeeper was his wife, and he said, "And who are you?" And then she would get into bed to go to sleep, and he would say, "Why are you in this bed?"
Oh, so he didn't
And it was
recognize
so,
her. Oh.
so
that
difficult.
feeling.
And she thought about going into the other room. They only had, it's a Willow Glen, it was a small house.
Yeah.
And then she said, "I don't want to do that because I don't want to give up on him and I don't want to give up on our bedroom. And this is
Right.
our life." And, you know, the last couple of weeks he was in a hospital bed in another part of the house. But she, every night, and she would listen to him say, "Why are you
are
in my
you?"
bed?"
Yeah.
But so you're still in the same bedroom and everything.
Yeah, I have to be because he will wake up and immediately try to find me where
So
I am.
he still knows who you are.
Oh, very definitely. I don't. Very definitely.
Who doesn't know
Yeah.
who you are? You make sure of that.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, he does. The scary thing is that my time to myself is after he goes to bed, and we have a stair lift now that takes him upstairs, and so he goes to bed between 9 and 9:30, and then I get an hour of TV.
And he's okay with that.
He goes to sleep very
Oh,
quickly
okay.
once he's in
So
bed.
it's when he wakes up immediately, he wants to know you're there.
Yeah, and so when and then I go up. Now, when I go up, it wakes him up. You know, it just just because it does, and he will sit up in bed until I'm lying prone, and then he'll lay down. So it's kind of one of those things where, you know, it's kind of like the teddy bear. He has to know I'm there, you know, and then everything's
So
okay.
you get one of those beds, you know, that you can raise.
We
and one of
do.
those- what are they called? Sleep something.
Yeah,
Something.
Something. Why give them a
Yeah.
free ad?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it's amazing. I mean, I'm his, you know, I'm his thing.
How many
Security
years are
blanket.
you going on now?
This is. It's been 6 years since he was diagnosed.
Okay.
And I think, Lisa, it was probably earlier than that. You know, we all talk about that.
We
that it
do.
was-
You realize things.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they were such talkers, and they had all three of them, and they had such opinions.
Did they all
and-
know each other?
No.
Oh, so you
Well,
became
not
friends
well.
later?
We
or-
did not
Not
John
really.
well.
No.
Yeah.
They just knew you as the friend she went out to have a glass of wine with.
Or we'd meet
Or-
at various functions in
Yeah.
town,
Yeah.
or things
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we can circle back to another service that's been tremendous, certainly.
And you know what? I'm thinking that we should take a walk to Leicester Square and then come back because there are many more questions. But we owe Linda Lester so much. I think we should at least take a walk to Leicester
Absolutely.
Square,
Absolutely.
stop
Thank you,
by,
Linda.
say hi, get a cup of coffee, and then we'll come back. So we'll be right back here watching Community Storytelling. I'm Lissa Kreisler, and I hope you are as riveted to this conversation as I am. We'll be right back. Hi, it's Lissa Kreisler. I'm at Leicester Square right here at the corner of Blossom Hill Road and Los Gatos Boulevard. A lot of fun things to do. Ken,
Lisa,
I didn't
so
even
nice to see you.
finish my sentence. I'm so surprised to see you. What are you doing
Well,
here?
we live close by and we're taking Rocky to the vet today.
So do you have time for a cup of coffee at Phil's with me afterwards?
Sure, is it your treat or mine?
It's definitely your treat.
And Rocky's coming too.
Good with me. I am so glad to run into you at Leicester Square. It's one of my favorite places.
It's one of my favorite places too, and we've been to Varenza and Super Duper and Phil's, and we love going here.
And so you know where I live, I have no flowers. So I come here to Leicester Square to enjoy all the flowers. They're gorgeous. So the motto here that Linda Lester coined is meet me at the square or meet us at the square or meet your besties at the square. I meet everybody at the square. It's Leicester Square in Los Gatos.
Come on by and cheers.
Yes. Welcome back from Leicester Square. I hope you had a fine visit. I'm Lissa Kreisler, Community Storytelling. I hope you have not missed a minute of this interview with these three fabulous women, Daughters of Dementia. And hopefully you're not saying, now why are they called that? Because that means you haven't been with us. But we'll get into that again. We've got Sandy Decker. We've got Ginger McDonald. We've got Mary Ellen Kaschub. Three fabulous women who have been talking about their lives with husbands. Two sadly have passed. One, Gill is still hanging in there,
Betcha.
taking out the garbage, doing his job.
Bringing it in.
And your stories have just been so heartwarming. And do you ever get tired?
Goodness.
You must be, yeah, I mean, even when you have help, you still know, like, I have to be home in 4 hours, or I hope he's doing fine. How do you cope with that, with just your exhaustion?
You lean on the two friends.
Yes, you do.
That's
Yeah.
why
Here we are.
You
so
really do.
you need to get support groups. If you don't have one yet, they have made their Daughters of Dementia. Can they use that name too?
No.
You haven't
No.
you've copyrighted
They
it.
have
It's
to have their
trademarked.
own. No.
Leave it to you.
But we have sweatshirts and hats.
You know, widows of attorneys. You know,
Yeah,
it's
there you go.
patented. It's trademarked.
There you
but
go.
you come up with a cute name and think of one. So, and I find whenever you have any kind of illness, you migrate to people who have it as well. So you will be able to find a group to be with. But
You want to talk about groups and
Ye-
support?
yes,
Yeah.
please.
Mary Ellen touched on it, and so did Ginger. We, in fact, we really put together our support when we were in a group that is run by a woman called Tammy Anastasia. She is a wonderful person. She does an awful lot in this area, and she works at Shir Hadash. Now, that's one of the places she's written books. She's done a lot of things, but she's local. And for us, she knows local. And she knows really good facilities, and she can tell you to steer clear of some of them. This is very important. So she's a marvelous resource. And
can she be Googled?
very definitely.
So say her name slowly.
Tammy with an I, Anastasia. And she has a great website.
Like the Disney princess, Anastasia.
Absolutely, yes.
She has some Zoom meetings that are coming
Oh.
online that are very good. She takes a topic and really dwells into
Great.
it and helps. But another service that is tremendous, and both Sandy and I were beneficial of it, not sure if Bill did, and that's veterans, the Veterans Association. Sandy just mentioned earlier that they have a stair lift. As soon as John was in the hospital again for another fall, and he broke something, and I say something like it's nothing, but it was something. Anyway, and realized that the stairwell was going to be a really big problem. So we set him up so he could sleep on the couch. And then they brought a hospital bed in, and then eventually they brought the stair lift, so he had a way to get upstairs. But interesting enough, when he comes home from the hospital and realizes that he's going to have to sleep downstairs, he crawls up to bed with me. You asked earlier, did we still sleep together? That is such an amazing part of our lives, cuddling, just knowing they're good morning, good night, are you okay? Really, really important, small things that make such a tremendous difference in a relationship.
And I'm thinking if you go through the Veterans Administration, some of these things are low cost or they help you get them. And I mean, because what do we, stair lifts are expensive.
And this was free.
It's free
For
for
veterans.
veterans.
And there are different
Wow.
levels of
Sure.
veterans. Those that had an extended, they were actually on duty, or they had been in a given war or a part of a war theater. They have an even greater number
Like John.
of benefits. Gill spent 7 years on active duty, and then he was your Undersecretary of the Army in the Clinton administration. So
Whoa.
he ended up as a colonel, and those varying levels
Sure.
will give you more benefits. But they're just good, and they're especially good with dementia. And now, I don't know if the world is aware, but a goodly portion of their doctors are from Stanford. So this gives you a tremendous amount of confidence. A tremendous amount of confidence when you're
She's going to break out in song.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
But it's
She could.
it just, you need that kind of confidence with something that has no answers, and it's very hard.
They
I'm sorry.
pretty much embrace you. Dr. Eo, who was head of the VA hospital and Palo Alto, all of San Jose, and then eventually went to a technology company, but he was treating John for 20 years. And it was when he saw how much John had lost as far as memory and could see what the care was, he said, Ginger, whatever you need, I want you to just call this number. And within 3 or 4 days, they came in and put the right bars in the shower and on the stairwell, and then we had a hospital bed, of which if anybody needs one, I'll give it to them. And then the stair lift, and the stair lift, the neighbor across the street broke his ankle, so he got the stair lift. But
Wow.
I mean, and they came right away. You didn't have to really ask for anything. They came in and evaluated the situation. There's a tremendous amount of help out there, even though there are so many lonely moments. You are not alone. You just have to reach out. And certainly you can reach to us and ask us what we know
of
or
course.
what we can share. Sometimes we may
Absolutely.
lead you astray, but it'll be fun ride.
Yeah, you might enjoy it.
From having so many friends who have lost spouses through Alzheimer's, and it's not just memory loss. So many health ailments come. The two people I know, when they lost their spouses, they stopped eating. I mean, there were just so many ailments along the way. It's just like, I have a friend now whose husband is paralyzed, and she said, it's not just a wheelchair. There's so much more that goes into all of these names,
Oh, yes.
and dementia. There's a lot of illness associated with it, correct?
And there's many different kinds of dementia. So it's not just dementia. That's a nice overall topic, but it's Lewy body, it's bop, bop, bop. There's about 5 or 6 or 10 or so different degrees of it. And for all of us, it manifested quite differently.
Really?
So we all have the same underlying experience of being a caregiver, care manager. Now you're in charge of your whole house and all the things that go with it. And for me, I had nighttime care. I had to have that for Bill. But it's amazing how much goes into it and the different levels of it. It's just, and it all ends up with Alzheimer's.
And you mentioned
Exactly.
Alzheimer's Association. I have done so much work with them.
Yes.
I was quite involved with them last year with their virtual walk and this and that. And
Thank you.
they are such fabulous, fabulous people. And they help you. So don't ever be hesitant to call Alzheimer's Association.
Yes, and their Hearts and Minds Center, which is their adult daycare activity center, was a godsend
It was.
for Bill for a couple of years, or probably 3 or 4 years. And then it became, he was playing Mexican train dominoes
Oh my.
with these guys, and they were all, kind of half there, but they really had fun together. And then one day they called and said they won't play with Bill anymore. He can't keep up. But it was like,
I understand.
sending
That's
your kid to
loved
kindergarten
one.
and nobody
the-
will play with them.
Yes.
It was just
Oh.
heartbreaking for him and for me.
You could have called me because I love Mexican train dominoes. I would have.
I've never played.
I would have been
we've
there
been
in a
trying to
minute.
teach each
Because I'm
other,
not
yeah.
fast either.
But what's really interesting and I think crazy making is oftentimes, especially earlier in the process, all of a sudden they'd come back and you go, they're
Yes.
back. Yes. And you get all hopeful and now, oh, Bill's back. And then it drops back again. It could go for an hour, 2 hours, maybe even half a day, or just for 1 second. The lucidity comes and then it dies. And so it's really hard because
Sounds like this is an
obviously.
episode from This Is Us.
Oh,
Now you're really going to get me crying.
there you go.
No, Lisa, the other thing is about taking care of yourself.
Oh,
These are things
yes.
we kind of take for granted. You get up, you shower,
Right.
whatever, and the different things you try to do to kind of keep their life somewhat active. John loved to take walks. He had a very, very good walker, and we would just walk on our cul-de-sac around the street. And our neighbors both were suffering from cancer, so we would walk their dog. And the dog was a pretty big dog, except never had been a dog walker, I mean, for at least 30 years. I didn't realize there were certain things you don't do. So we're walking along, and I have the dog's
Leash,
reins,
yes.
leash around my, and
Yes.
all of a sudden the dog sees something and goes running, and I leap off into the air. I fly down, and I break my wrist, and I break my
badly.
glasses, and I'm just a mess. And John is just lost, and the dog is licking my face.
Yes.
We have movies.
So, there's things, when you do something to help them, think about simple things. Had I just held the rings here, I would have been okay.
Or,
And
I don't
John-
know, you didn't
yeah.
even need to take the dog out. You could have just gone out with a walker.
I-
You could have. You could have.
In retrospect.
And real quickly about family, because you obviously, his family was grown. It was just you and him, and it was just you and John. And because your family your daughters lived away and this and that.
Everyone lives away.
So you had no family to help you. You ordered your family to come here so you could go to Linda Lester's condominium
Well,
villa.
well, actually, but we can expand that a little bit on family. The family that does live close is mine. Now, this is the second marriage. We've been together for 40 years, but it's not their father.
Right.
But it is a big part of their life. And one of my kids, my son's in Marin and my daughter's in San Diego. So, but I've got to say, Lisa, what happens is your own children become very involved with you. You don't see how you're really diminishing, but they do.
do.
And so my daughter kind of took the reins, and she was the one who was contacting his kids. One of his is in Santa Barbara, and as I say, one's in New Jersey and one's in Las Vegas. And as I began to diminish, she just really made it very important that they step in. And in this situation, they weren't really close to their dad. Gill's career was mercurial. He had an airplane strapped to his bottom most of his life. And so they really weren't that close. So they've actually come, they have been with him, but it's difficult. And you don't know what those relationships
Right.
are going to look like or how they're going to play out as a person begins to diminish. He's not the guy that you're either saluting or going into Disneyland with because he's the director of Imagineering. It's that kind of thing that changes so radically.
So I could talk to you women all day,
I'm
but I
sorry.
will be joining. No, and you've all been so well behaved.
We
Three chatty women, besties, and each one has talked. It's been wonderful. How do we end this interview? Does each one of you say something? Say something hopeful, because I always want people to have hope, and I know sometimes there really isn't a lot of hope. You're looking at me like, why hope? I mean, but
No, that's not true. I mean, yes, I'm looking at you. That's true.
I don't know. How I want to end this on a positive note.
I think the most important thing to remember is that there is a support system. Your family adores you. I mean, if my kids weren't on the phone every day, they'd think something was wrong with me, not with them. And his family too. Between us, we had 6 children, 14 grandchildren, and 10 great-grands. So that's a bunch of
That's a
people.
gathering.
Yeah. But
That's a convention.
I think the most important thing to do is treat yourself. Go have a massage, get
Yes.
a pedicure.
And don't
Do
feel
s-
guilty.
And
Oh.
no,
that's the big one.
Never. That's the first question people ask when your husband passes away from dementia. Do you feel guilty? And I thought to myself, I gave everything I could. There was no more. I couldn't give any more.
And I
that
can
word
attest to that.
guilty is
It's
not
ridic-
there.
I hate that word. But yeah, do not feel guilty about doing something for yourself, because without you, that person is even in more trouble. And dementia is affecting so many of us now, Alzheimer's, all the different categories. And so that was great. Okay, Sandy.
A positive, hopeful thing. You know, you will always find someone who is dealing with a situation, whether it's Alzheimer's or something else, that is probably tougher than yours. So the hopeful part of this is, in a sense, this sounds so, I don't know, rejoice that you're getting through it, and that you got through it, and that you're still alive, you're still the person that you were. Those dreams and hopes are now yours to go out and make happen. And as in our case, we've got kids that are making it happen for us as well. So there is hope, and that I'm staying on the, you know, right on the family level, where each day is where you live. So I think that's what you look for. You don't negate what's happening right now, but there's a future, and the future, hopefully, for anybody who may end up getting this disease, is that we find a way out. But I don't see it with all the reading and everything that we have done and we have experienced. I don't see it happening now. But you know, there are always those great moments, and if nothing else, concentrate on those. Grab hold of those. Yeah.
Yes. Grab hold is right. Mary Ellen?
I think
Oh, she almost touched that mic again. Thank you, Ginger. Hold her hand. Hold her hand.
Well, I think it's a deepening of your own self, because you've been through it. You know so much more about life, the tragedies of life, and how to survive things that you don't even think are sane. But I think what I really became aware of, even more so, was the power of listening. And so for me, when I run into somebody that wants to talk about what they're going through or have a problem, I can't necessarily give them advice, but I can listen.
Yes.
And people need to be listened to.
And so often when you talk it out, you find the answer just by having somebody listen. And I think it's a good thing to let neighbors know, because you know, sometimes they walk out of the house, right? I mean, you know, don't be embarrassed.
No.
And you'll be surprised at how many friends you do have. All you got to do is ask, because I think we all know, especially in our age group, although you're all much older than me.
I'm afraid we are. We are. Yes, we are.
Not really. But
You could be my daughter.
we're all going to be, that part is true, we're all going to be in this spot someday, sadly. So we have to look after each other. We're a community. We're a community. So Daughters of Dementia, you know, I've done 5 seasons of stories. Yours is going to last with me forever.
Oh,
God
thank
bless
you.
you.
And thanks for doing this, Lisa.
Thank you.
And now
Lisa.
I
Thank
need to
you.
get a glass of wine or a box of tissues, because this was a tough one. Oh, I hope you were with us the whole time. This was just an amazing, amazing sit down. And you know what? Should I be sitting down with you or your bestie or, you know, a relative? It's so easy to do nominations. You go to KCAT.org, you go to the community storytelling link, you hit nominate, 10 seconds later, you're done. And I would love to share your story. We have so many great stories in Los Gatos and Montecito, and we need to be sharing them, because that's what our community is all about. I think that we've all learned from the pandemic. We share, we help, and we do what we can for each other. And this is such a great way to do it. You come on my show. I'm Lissa Kreisler. Thanks for being with us today at KCAT TV 15.